welcome. My name is Sherry Bevan from The Confident Mother, and today I'm talking to Nicky Kriel, who is a social media expert and trainer, and she knows far more about LinkedIn than I do, so I'm delighted she's talking to the LinkedIn Challenge participants. So Nicky, welcome and thank you for your time today.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I just love giving my 2 pennies worth.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things I'm talking to the challengers about is how LinkedIn can be really useful for your business. And I know that you in particular do a lot of speaking, so I'd love you to share how you use LinkedIn to get speaking opportunities.
Okay, well, in fact, I've had a lot of international opportunities that have
Yes.
come through LinkedIn. So
You've
I'll tell
been
you
everywhere
about
recently.
they're not all speaking ones, but I think it's quite fascinating because I would never have expected things to have happened the way they happened, and they've all been empowered through me having a good LinkedIn profile. Okay, so the first thing that happened, which was really interesting, was one of the big things that happened on LinkedIn was I got invited to a place called Ras Al Khaimah, which is in the UAE. And the telephone connection was really bad, but I found myself within a few weeks of the initial contact flying out to the UAE, and then I found out I was actually working for the prince. So,
oh wow.
Yes. So very interesting. I didn't get completely unexpected, but sort of like I got found via my LinkedIn profile, so I had no connections in the UAE whatsoever. So that was quite exciting, and having 5 days paid for work in the UAE, and sort of it was amazing. Another exciting one was going to Dubai, back in the UAE, and I sort of did training in November, and that was because I was discovered on LinkedIn. So I no connections really with that training company, but they found me and sort of took me out there, stayed in a lovely hotel, and worked with people for 5 days. Well, no, it was a 4-day training, so it's like quite intense training. So that was good. And then I also I'm going to speak in India, and I was found through my LinkedIn profile. So there's a trend here.
Yes, there is definitely a trend. So what is it about your profile then that you're getting you noticed?
I think the thing is, when you write your profile, and I think if you don't do anything on LinkedIn, okay, so if you decide that LinkedIn's not your thing or whatever, if the one thing that you do is go and have a good look at your LinkedIn profile, it should pay dividends, because a lot of people are searching for other people on LinkedIn. So when you write your LinkedIn profile, you have to write it for your ideal customer. So you're not writing it about you. It's not about you. It's about the person that you want to attract. So you've got to think in terms of the language that they might use to find you. What would they be looking for if they were trying to find somebody? And then you've got to put that information in. So if you make sure you fill in all the sections in your LinkedIn profile, and I always think you need to be forward facing. So you need to think about what it is that you want to be doing rather than necessarily what you've done in the past.
Right.
So even when you fill in your past experiences, you need to demonstrate how your past experiences will help you in what you want to move into. So I know you've got some woman who returning to work, so that is particularly relevant. You need to demonstrate that you've got those skills or transferable skills.
And particularly if you're changing, some of the people in the challenge are thinking about changing career, and I think that's where you've got to demonstrate that what you've done in the past, how you can translate or transfer those skills into new industries or new sectors or new skills.
But sort of like wherever you are, so like in the past experiences, because I know most of us hate form filling. Well, maybe some people do. I'm not one of those people. I hate form filling. So it took me a long time to fill in my LinkedIn profile properly. But ever since I've done that, it's generated work and people clicking on it and approaching me. And sort of like I had somebody who's based in, I think, Thailand, wanted me to do some training for one of his clients who was in London. So, that was a connection that we had. But throughout your LinkedIn profile, you need to say who you are, who you help, and how you help people. So if that, ideally, if you can fit it into your LinkedIn, I was going to say it's your sales pitch, what they call your headline.
Headline.
Your headline is basically the first thing that people are going to notice, and there's certain parts of your profile that will be picked up in search. So just by having a good profile, having the right keywords for what other people are looking for, will help it people find you. But also, just wherever you are, just fill in all the details. So if your past experiences, don't assume that people know what those job titles mean. And job titles also change. So if you were, let's say, a personnel manager, you might want to update it to say HR, or sort of like talent acquisition, or whatever the newer phrases are. Obviously, I'm not suggesting in any way that you lie on your profile, but job roles change, so you can actually describe new job roles.
Job roles are very not even industry specific, but sometimes organizational specific. I had a job role where I was the divisional account coordinator, which meant nothing to anybody outside of the organization. In fact, it meant nothing to anybody outside of our department. So on my profile, I've changed that to make it more relevant, so people can understand a bit better what it was that I did in that role.
Yeah, exactly. And also the things like you can add videos and slide share, which is a very easy way to get information onto your profile. And so just spend a bit of time, and if you haven't looked at your LinkedIn profile, but I'm sure you're challenging everybody to do that, you really need to do that. The other thing I would suggest is be proactive about finding the right people and approaching them, not necessarily going in with a full sales pitch immediately, but be proactive about how you use LinkedIn to create those opportunities for you.
And I think that's often where I see people, when they connect with me for the first time, they connect with me and then they launch into a sales pitch about how they can improve my marketing or how they can improve my SEO. And you think, oh, whoa, hold on a sec, I'm a shy retiring type. I want to build a relationship first. And I think that's often what people forget on LinkedIn, is at the end of the day, it's a networking tool first and foremost. And it's about developing those relationships first before you start to even, and I don't think LinkedIn is really the place to do the actual pitch. That's really more for a telephone.
I think most of the real pitches should take place in person. So whether it's telephone, Skype calls or whatever, you want to take people off the line, but pre-qualifying, so it's asking questions. I think it may be a cultural thing, because Americans will always recommend that when you've connected with somebody, to tell people what you do.
Yes.
So that is generally acceptable. I think if you were in America, you'd kind of expect that from people, whereas I think I'm actually not even British. I've just been here so long. But I don't like people coming at me, I feel, so with the sales.
And I think for people, if they remember that you network the same as you would if you were meeting people at a party or a networking event, you don't just look, well, I have had this happen actually, but you don't normally just walk up to people and start telling them all about your business. It's hello and how are you and what do you do and where do you come from and what's the weather like today type of questions first.
So it's always good if you're going to connect with people is to ask them questions. So it starts engagement, you get to start talking about various things. That is really good. And I didn't know, are you challenging people to do LinkedIn Publisher or LinkedIn articles, as they call?
Yes, that's right towards the end of the challenge. We're going to.
So you're going to scare people.
Yeah, I don't want to scare them too much. So so each day in the challenge, we've got a quick fix task that will take a few minutes, and then when you've got more time task. So publishing is one of the tasks that right towards the end of the challenge. Soften them up first, Nicky.
I was thinking that would scare a lot of people, but once you've done all these little the little challenges, it makes a big difference.
Yeah.
I think so powerful. There's so many people on there, and probably for most people, the right people are going to be on LinkedIn and using LinkedIn. So it's whatever version people have about LinkedIn, and people often think of it as dull or uninteresting or that it's not interactive. It is actually very interactive, and because they've now built in that you can add likes and comments and share content a lot easier. I mean, it's only recently, you know, because only a few years ago that they've started being more like other social media platforms.
Yes, more social. Yes.
So there is a lot of social stuff happening. So even if you're not posting, but I always recommend that people would post content that shows your expertise. Make sure you're commenting on other people's posts, or liking, so it gets people's attention if you do that.
Excellent. Well, lovely. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Nicky. Really do appreciate it. And I just wanted to demonstrate to people that there, you know, it's not just me spouting on about how amazing LinkedIn is. There are other people who are really genuinely getting work and speaking and training opportunities. So thank you for that. And do you want to just share your websites if people want to find out more about you? Because, you know, I've mentioned your book already in the challenge, but perhaps you want to just give that a quick plug.
Well, actually, I've got one here.
Oh, by chance.
I just thought I'll get my prop up. Well, I'm Nicky Kriel, and you can find me on nickykriel.com. But also, if anybody in the challenge wants to connect with me on LinkedIn, I will accept. Just put a little note saying that that's where you're coming from, and I will accept your connection. I've got loads and loads of connections, so potentially that gives everybody another network that they, and more people they can approach by being connected to somebody's work.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, great. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Nicky. Really do appreciate it.